Hello, my audience. This is Paul. And you know what? As much as I love my sister, I don't have extroverted feeling in my function stack. Let's try this again. Well, I guess that'll do. Hello, everyone. My name is Paul, and I am an ISTJ. ISTJs are not known for being people pleasers. They're known for being the type that's insanely loyal to someone that they love or work for or a trusted friend, and they don't really care what anyone else says because extroverted feeling is nowhere to be found in their function stack. So the intro was me trying super duper hard to exercise that extroverted feeling. It just came crashing down, and I'm just like, I can't do that. I'm sorry, but I'm breaking my back here. I literally have to squeeze half of my torso under this chair that my computer is on and be leaning down almost as though I'm about to take a nap just to make my 16 types playing videos look like I've got a giant black background, when in reality, that's what my room looks like. Now, because I'm an introverted feeler, I'm going to be saying that doesn't technically break any rules, nor is it against Catholic teaching to show boxes, nor do I feel like I'm doing anything against some kind of moral code of mine, so it should be fine. It's not a sinful action. But if you want to be a YouTuber, you have to really try to do something that you're not. You just can't be 100% natural. So, on this info dumping episode, we're going to talk about all the unnatural functions. The functions that, from Extroverted Intuition and beyond, are the type that just makes ISTJs ugh. No joke, I literally sometimes have to wish that there was an aspirin nearby when I start exercising those other functions. So first off, an easy way to tell what your shadow or your demon functions are you take the first four functions that you have. In the case of the ISTJ like me, it would be Introverted Sensing, Extroverted Thinking, Introverted Feeling, Extroverted Intuition. And then you just swap the extrovert introvert. And those are your bottom four functions. So technically, everyone has 8 functions. It's just that they're so deep into the subconscious that they're either rejected, nearly unused, or only used sort of in a flash of insight kind of thing. You don't actively try to use these functions, and if you do, it's usually because you're in this really unusual situation that you wouldn't normally be in. And so it's kind of more of a, I'm normally not one to kill people, but you just crossed a line, buddy. Don't you touch my child kind of thing. So, that being said, you thought we were bad with our extroverted intuition? Well, next up comes our extroverted sensing. Now, this seems like a paradox. We're sensing types, so why shouldn't extroverted sensing be our second function? Well, that's because we are ISTJs, not ESTPs. That's why they added the P's and the E's and the I's and the J's. It's because the function stack is going to be all over the place without it. So, our extroverted sensing means that we generally have a fear of that which is too risky, too dangerous, too hands-on. We prefer to learn things through information, stuff that is safely stored up here or in one of these lovely things that I like to call a notebook. You just open the page and you say, oh, how nice. Look at all that information. You're wondering why it's blank? No, that wasn't actually me mistyping as an ISTJ and being an INFJ. That's because we don't need that. We got it all up here. Well, okay, we need it for the sake of our extroverted thinking. Extroverted sensing, on the other hand, would be figuring something out as you go along. So if there's a problem on the computer, I'd be at my keyboard and I'd say, okay, let's press H, J, E, W. Oh, cool, I just fixed it. That's not how we operate. But if we were to use extroverted sensing, it would probably mean that we have a structured risk situation. So an example of that is, I love climbing. I love climbing trees. Not that I get to do it often, but I climbed a mountain one time, and that was great. And I love climbing up slides at parks. So anytime that I can be high up, basically whatever the definition for a phobia of heights is, I got the opposite of it. I have my own phobias, like needles, for example, but heights, not one of them. Love them. However, I'm not the type that's just going to put myself in a risky situation for the sake of being risky. There are some people that say, you know what, if I die, you only live once, who cares? I'm going to take all the necessary precautions to get into that kind of situation. So, the ESTPs might be like, okay, only way I'm going to know is to find out, and if I break a bone, whatever. Me, I'm going to say, okay, well, let's see if my legs are sturdy. Let's make sure my arms have enough muscles. Make sure I had a good meal, good diet, climb the tree. Okay, I'm well aware of the amount of muscles in my feet right now. And I'm well aware that within arm shot there's this tree branch. Okay, now I can stand up here. Now I can raise my arms. Now I know that I am safe based on prior facts. It sounds complicated because we're trying to use something that doesn't come naturally to us. ESTPs and ESFPs, they don't think the stuff through, they just do it. ISTJs, on the other hand, we like that sense of familiarity. So if someone asked us to do something completely different without any instructions, we'd flip out. In the same way that if you asked them to memorize, like, when is your cousin's birthday? They'd be like, I don't know, that's too trivial of information. They don't want to go back into the past. They want to live in the moment. Us, on the other hand, we thrive on the past. That's why we learn from our mistakes. That's why we don't keep doing the same old thing, like relapsing or doing something stupid when we know we shouldn't be doing it. Next up is introverted thinking. So this one is really hard because it's hard for me to understand introverted thinking even when it's in the 4 function stacks. We have extroverted thinking. So our logic tends to be one that we think should apply to like everyone and kind of have this arrogant like, everyone knows that. Even if they don't. Sometimes that's a flaw of mine. I'll say, well, everyone knows that you're supposed to hold open the door for someone when you're the first one through. Then people will correct me and say, not everyone does that, Paul. And I'd be like, for crying out loud, that's just common sense. Introverted thinking, on the other hand, isn't so forceful. They're going to be more along the lines of, you do you. If you want to hold open a door, fine. I personally am not going to hold open a door because the person behind me is totally capable. See, their logic is based on their own perceptions. They try to figure out what is the ultimate truth. This is especially annoying in the INTPs because they might spend all day just pondering about something and not getting anything accomplished. And it might be something that's impossible to ponder. Like they might say, I wonder what the water tastes like in heaven. How do we even know water has a taste in heaven? How do we even know taste even exists? Like, heaven is beyond our senses. But yet they are actively trying to find an answer as opposed to just saying, let's just theorize and leave it at that. So when an ISTJ uses introverted thinking, it's more so going to be along the lines of, I'm going to be saying and a lot more as I go down the line because I really have to reach deep into my brain, not literally, that would be gross, and figure out which of these functions is actually being used at any given time. And as of now, introverted thinking primarily comes across in the way that we try to reword someone else's concept and try to simplify it. So if someone is doing this long, actually I have an example right here. The United States Catholic Catechism for Adults. So if we move to chapter 1, all the way at the end, there's a meditation by St. Augustine, and it's from the Confession, and he says, "Where did I find you that I came to know you? You were not within my memory before I learned of you. Where then did I find you before I came to know you, if not within yourself, far above me?" Okay, so this is pretty straightforward so far, I guess. Like, he's basically just saying, where were you, I guess? Like, is he trying to speak from a geographical point of view, or what? So when he learned of God, it wasn't in his memory? Well, of course not. When you learn something new, it's not in your memory, because when you're learning about... It just gets harder from here. Late have I loved you, O beauty ever ancient, ever new, late have I loved you. So now he's repeating himself. Created things kept me from you, yet if they had not been in you, they would have not been at all. So, basically he's inside of God, but things are inside him too, but those things are like keeping him from God, even though they're both inside of God. So how can he be... I give up. I can't do that. That's just too much for my brain. Basically, our introverted thinking is going to want some clarity. We're going to say, okay, we don't want all of this wordy nonsense. We're going to want it to come into some kind of cohesive structure. Introverted thinking is the exact opposite of cohesive. It's very inward and like on the deepest part of the rational level of the brain. No thanks. I prefer a nice... Okay, you need 2 teaspoons of vinegar. Then you need 1 tablespoon of salt. Mix it all together and you get vinegar and salt. Problem solved. Now we're going to move on to the really challenging one before I give myself a migraine. Extroverted feeling. Oh boy. So extroverted feeling is a function that is in the dominant stack for ENFJs and ESFJs. It's the function that basically means that all they ever want is what's harmonious to the people around them. So if someone else really wants a sandwich, they're gonna feel that aching and that hunger, and they're gonna go out of their way to make sure that that person gets a sandwich. And if they don't, they're gonna sort of take on the emotion of the person. So if the other person starts crying, then they're gonna start crying. And even if they're not like within the vicinity of each other, they have this like far-reaching vacuum of emotions. Where I was on a mission trip, and the keynote speaker was talking about this flood that was, I don't know, in Missouri somewhere. And that was very far away from where we were. And he was like, I just popped on the news, and I just started bawling my eyes out because all those poor people in the flood. And I'm, just like, oh, that's really sad, all those people in the flood. But I don't know how they feel, because I've never been in a flood. But then I get home on the internet, and my friend says, Paul, weren't you so sad? I mean, those poor people and their families, and they must be panicking right now. And I'm just like, I mean, yeah, it's sad, but I don't feel anything. So it's not that ISTJs completely miss the point as far as how people are feeling. It's more so of they don't know how to put themselves outside of their own perspective. To me, if I forget to take my specific prescription medicine, I'm going to feel a certain way. But if someone else forgets to take their prescription medicine, it's totally different than what I take. And so therefore, it's a unique experience. Also, everyone's pain tolerance is different. So when ISTJs try to use extroverted feeling, it's when they hear out what the other person is saying. And they try to put into words, like, if there's a practical reason for why we should care. Probably leaning too far in our dominant sensing. But, like, an example I can give. My friend just got married. Me, I've never been married. Never even been engaged. So the only thing I could think about was, well, I hope she thought this through. And then the second part was my sentimental side, which was like, oh my goodness. I am not going to be able to hang out with this person on a regular basis anymore because she's going to be so busy with her husband and eventually the kids. And it was in this unfamiliar, unknown point of view. So then she said, well, Paul, of course we're not going to do that too. And I was like, really? Like, do you have any proof of that? So, of course she didn't have proof. She's an INFP. INFPs don't know how to give proof. So instead she just said, we would really, 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 really like it if you could come to our wedding. And so I said, well, how about I just watch it on Google Video? Then I'll be able to see the ceremony and then we can both be happy. She's like, no, we want you to actually be at the wedding. And I said, what's the difference? Is it because of my deodorant? She's like, no. It's the symbolism of your presence. So I was like, you can actually detect my presence? Like I'm giving out energy vibes or something? She's like, no. We appreciate you in our life, and so it's an honor for us to have you. Wait, so you're telling me that I'm going to be producing endorphins in your brain just by me sitting down in a chair and looking at you? And the ISTJ, as much as they cannot comprehend this need for other people's emotions, they sometimes have to just tough it out and say, for the person I care about, I have to do something that I don't understand. And I have to force myself to not question what it is that I don't understand and just do it. So, for example, let's say I ever were to get married. My daughter comes up to me and she says, Daddy, my boyfriend just said I was ugly. Well, I've never had a boyfriend tell me that I was ugly, nor did I have a girlfriend that said that. Besides the point. I would have to say, okay, in my head I'd be thinking, what's the big deal about that? But my daughter needs me. She needs to know something in the moment that's going to make her feel comfortable. So having extroverted thinking as a shadow function is going to make me just say, okay, I'm not speaking right now about how stupid it is that some person's words should literally be causing water to kind of come out of her eyes. So instead I just say, oh, honey, come here, let me give you a hug. Does she need a hug? I don't know. I'm just hoping this works. What would make you feel better, honey? Daddy, do you think I'm pretty? In my head, of course you're pretty, darling. Have you ever read Theology of the Body? Outwardly, I have to say, yeah, you're quite beautiful, honey. And then instead of over-explaining it like ISTJs tend to do, I leave it at that. Because her individual needs don't need all of that over-explanation that we ISTJs do. So, I have to suffice with just saying, you are beautiful, and then just swallow everything else I want to say. Wouldn't life just be so much simpler if people could read each other's internal monologues and like our external monologues were what were in our head? Now, for the really tough one. Introverted Intuition. My number 8 function, meaning the one that I have like maybe 1% awareness of it, if I have an awareness of it at all. The dominant function of the INTJs and the INFJs, therefore making the INFJ the most confusing out of all the types for the ISTJ like myself. Basically, they take a concept or an object or something and they try to like look at the deeper ultimate meaning of it. And if I try to do that, usually I can only get a few sentences in before I say, you know what, let me just check the internet and see what someone else says about this. Like, they can fathom reasons for why they exist. Huh? Just poke yourself. Well, admittedly, I'm not saying ouch, but that's because I'm not poking myself that hard. Let's say I did that. Okay, that still didn't hurt that much. See, I'm aware of the amount of pain I'm causing myself. I'm not like going, ah, my hand! My brain is saying your hand is about to hit your head. And my head is preparing for the impact. The INFJ and the ISTJ might be like, oh, I didn't notice that you were there. But that's on the topic of lack of sensing. Oh my gosh. Thank goodness this is info nubbing, because I'm trying really hard to grasp this tough function. So what they're going to be doing instead is they're going to be looking ahead into this wild, wacky, unknown, and trying to figure out if perhaps there was something they didn't think hard enough about. Maybe there was... I give up. I literally have no idea how to even come up with a metaphor for this, apart from moments where someone will say, like, what if this is the foundation of life itself? And I say, why bother speculate? Why don't we just consult the catechism? They say, no. The catechism is for people with narrow minds. We need to broaden the mind, enhance our wisdom. Should go to school? Is it really that hard to just Google something? It's like, they want more than just what is literally the answer. If I read on a piece of paper 1 + 1 = 2, they're going to look at it and they're probably going to say, well, why does 1 + 1 = 2? And you might think I'm making this up, but I swear. My INTJ best friend took a class on a type of mathematics that explains why 1 + 1 = 2. And I just gave up. I was just like, why do you even need an explanation? If I have one finger, and then I have another finger up, that's 2 fingers. Just like if I had one book here, and one book here, that's 2 books. Duh! But then one could argue, well, Paul, you're using American language, and so the word for 2 in another language is dos in Spanish. But it's still 2 books. It's like, they're not 3 books, they're not 10 books, they're 2. How do they not see that? It's right there. So if an ISTJ were ever to use Introverted Intuition, it would go along the lines of something like this. Hello, my name is Paul. Or is that really my name? I suppose that maybe when I was born, I was an embryo, and if God knew my name at the beginning of time, then therefore my name isn't actually Paul. It's perhaps the name of whatever God gave me. And that name is something on an infinite level. Something that I cannot attain with my current level of knowledge. But perhaps within the collective works of the church might be a variety of answers that will allow me to look deep inside the infinite and find that answer to what is my name. And then I need to figure out the relevance behind why God named me, what he named me. What does that mean? What does that mean to my life? How do I apply this knowledge that I do not know yet, but I want to find out? Oh my gosh. How do you talk like that? This has been ISTJ Info Dumping, signing out.